Speaker for tonight is Annie R.
Hi, my name's Annie. I'm an alcoholic. Hello. I want to welcome Alma and Shannon to Alcoholics Anonymous. So proud of you for walking through the rooms and for being here. You know, when I came in the first time, and relapse hopefully doesn't have to be a part of your story, but it is a part of mine. When I came in here, I hated myself and I hated my life. And I thought, you know, this is where I'm at. I'm in the losers club now. You know, I didn't want to be here with you guys, you know. I thought, you know, my life's over. My life's over. And little did I know that my life was just beginning when I actually worked the program this last time that I came in on November 2nd, 2014. But yeah, and I also want to welcome our visitor, Valerie from Clearwater. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so gosh, I made a really heavy going of life. I struggled and I suffered. And like I said before, you know, I was in and out of this program for decades. And, you know, I'd jump all in, but I wasn't really like there with my heart. I was like cheating my way through the steps. Seriously, looking things up on the internet and everything. Like, what does my sponsor want to hear me say? You know, because I was a cheater. You know, like I struggled through school. I didn't care. I was a half-asser. Like I didn't want to do any. You know, getting C's was fine for me. I didn't care. Like I just wanted to get by in life, and so I kind of did things like that for my life. And I didn't have a lot of ambition. And, you know, I just wanted to just coast along. And, you know, I struggled in my alcoholism for a really long time. And I didn't think I was hurting anybody. And, you know, I had 2 kids. I had a husband. I had that house. And I thought, you know, if I get all those things, then my life's going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. But I had all that stuff. And I was like, still had this, like, emptiness inside, and I still hated myself. And you know, I was kind of like grew up just like really like with a lot of self-righteous indignation, and like I was kind of just had this idea that you have to stress out and, you know, be productive, and if you're not worrying and if you're not stressing and if you're not, you know, doing all this stuff, then you're not doing life right. So, you know, I was busy and I was in a hurry and I had to get things done. And, you know, I thought it was important and all this stuff. And, you know, now I'm just a worker among workers, and I'm just a person among people in this lovely room of Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, I used to come to this meeting in the first 3 years of this sobriety. And it's a great meeting, and it's great to see all you lovely faces out there, you know. And for me to think that this was the Losers Club, boy, did I have that wrong, and I'm so glad, right? Because I've met the loveliest people of my life in here, and I've had the greatest time. And if you're not having fun in Alcoholics Anonymous, go to another meeting, right? Find those people, have fun. And, you know, Alan told me to have fun while I was up here. And I'm going to mention his name because he told me he's going to give me $5. And I also wanted to thank Jen and this whole meeting. Like, I got a card. I got a present here. I didn't know I was going to get paid for being here, but, you know. So, yeah, I struggled through life, and I made a tough going at it. And I was just always like this, just tense. And, you know, it was hard. Like, life as an alcoholic was really hard for me, you know, figuring out where to throw the booze and get the booze and, you know, what stories am I telling? And, you know, how am I going to deal with these kids? I have these kids, right? And they're out playing, and I'm in the closet drinking and, you know, not being there emotionally for them. And, you know, it started to wear on me, you know, but I didn't know any better. I thought I needed that booze to get me through life, right? I thought that was my solution. And, you know, I just hit a lot of bottoms, come into Alcoholics Anonymous. It's like, okay, work a couple steps, whatever. Okay, I'm good. Like, I'm good. I don't need these people anymore. I don't need this program. I don't need you. I got this. Like, I got this, right? And I don't got anything, right? God's got this. God's got this for me. And once I realized all that, I'm like a slow, undisciplined alcoholic, and it took me a while. And I had to get beat up a little bit more, and I was beating myself up over everything too. I had a hard time with forgiveness. And, my first sponsor this time around was like, let people off the hook, because I always wanted to have revenge and get them back and this and that. It's like, just let people off the hook, like, let it go. It's like, how do I do that, And then my preceding sponsor, Gil's lovely ex-wife, or not ex-wife, I'm sorry, Gil's lovely wife, Roxanne, rest her, oh my gosh, I love Roxanne. She told me, Annie, take the gloves off, because I was fighting. And I was, struggling. And it's like, I let go and I let God and I have fun in this program. And, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't having fun. And my life got better. I've had that profound alteration in my reaction to life, like the book talks about in the spiritual experience. And, like I treat the world differently. I see the world differently. Like I was able to walk out one day and go, oh my God, the sky's blue. Like I kind of like the birds chirping, right? And all those things that annoyed me and everything got on my nerves, like life starts getting a little lighter after I work a couple steps, when I take the third step and when I take the seventh step, and I start realizing, there's no big deals, and if I were to talk to my younger self at this age, I'd say, let go, like don't grip so hard, like just let go and have fun. Like that's what we're here for, right? Life's here, life's in session. Like, why not have fun and enjoy it? And I get to have a beautiful adventure in Alcoholics Anonymous because I've worked the steps, and I treat other people differently now, because I'm a real alcoholic, like pass out, black out, pee in your pants, barf in the shower, drive your kids around drunk, real alcoholic, drinking in the mornings and all that stuff. And I embarrassed my children and I shamed my parents and I disrespected my husband, who's now my ex-husband, rightfully so. I did all that stuff to them, and it never felt good, but I didn't know any better. And now I do, right? Like we have this beautiful program that helps guide us through life. And I have this rule book. I have these principles that I live by now. And it's just like, wow, I never thought I'd have some integrity and be honest and a person of faith, wanting to do things for other people. Brotherly love and service. Like, this is an amazing program, and I hope you keep coming back. And, I've been able to repair those relationships. And I have a beautiful relationship with my kids. They're now 25 and 27. I dragged them through my alcoholism, in and out. Oh, is mom sober now or not? Like, what's the deal? Oh, she's passed out, like I've repaired those relationships and they love me. And, we have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with my ex-husband. We share a dog now. We didn't even have it when we were married. So, and I get to see him and I get to talk to him. And, like my parents are proud of me. Like, but that doesn't all matter. Like, I'm proud of myself. Like, I know God's proud of me. And that's why I'm here, is to do God's work and to show you that, like, there's a great life in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm going to keep coming back because I'm having fun. Thanks.
Yay, thank God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we have an email list over here. If you'd like to be part of the email list, please sign it. We don't send copies out, but you'll get an email about the upcoming speakers so you know to come. Show up, be a part of Solution Sobriety. Now, our main speaker will share his experience, strength, and hope. Please join me in welcoming Gil T. from
Aloha, my name's Gil T, and I'm an alcoholic and an addict. To qualify, today I have 13,895 days. But that's just today. Not really a speaker, so I'm going to just kind of tell a story. You know, there's so much that I don't know or understand, but when I was growing up, I don't know how exactly it happened, but I was the smallest and the youngest person at any school I attended. And, you know, that causes a lot of insecurities. Now, I don't know what makes an alcoholic, but I think it has a lot to do with fitting in. And I never did. I went to school on the west side. I went to a school outside of Mar Vista Gardens, which isn't a garden, it was a project. Then I went to Marina Del Rey Junior High School, and then Venice High School. I never fit in. I learned to surf. That helped a little bit. But in those days, surfers smoked weed and drank beer. And, you know, that started to become my answer, you know. I was pretty good, and I never got attention from women. I never had a date in high school, but at the beach, because I was pretty good, I got a little notoriety and a little beer and a little tequila, which made me surf even better. Or so I thought. But, you know, this is really the story of someone that was cursed to be an alcoholic and an addict, and then realized they were blessed to find sobriety and recovery. Because, you know, in school, people looked for the differences, not the similarities like we do in our program. You know, you're too big, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you have braces, you have glasses, you got buck teeth. And everybody pointed that out. And it really didn't help with any kind of confidence. But I got through high school, and then I joined a fraternity, not like you think about, but it was a junior college fraternity, which for any of you that are older, it was just like Animal House. It was all about drinking. And you know, I was pretty good. I used to go to Foster Freeze and drink a malt before I start drinking, and I could hold a lot of liquor that way. And that's what it was about. And during one of our escapades, because we were in a junior college and, you know, we're losing our deferment, my best friend and I, we didn't want to get drafted, so we joined the Marine Corps. One of the stupidest things I ever did in my life. We spent 3 months in boot camp, 2 months in infantry training, and then 13 months in Vietnam. And when we came back, he was a recluse, and I had no concept of who I was. So that would be in the late 60s, 69, October 22nd, I got out, and I didn't fit in again. The only place I fit in was in Venice with 1%, 1%ers. Those are outlaw bikers, not, no offense, but not the guys you see today. These guys were real criminals. And so I built a bike, and I hung out with them until there was a misunderstanding. And I proceeded to take my wife and my baby to Northern California, to a little town of 150 people. And let's just say we started farming, and We did okay, but I was lucky. One of the ranchers goes, I said, hey, I want to get a job driving a logging truck. And he thought it would be cool. He goes, if you cut your hair, because I had long hair, not like today, but he goes, I'll help you get a job. So I did, and I got a job, and I liked it. But I didn't like living in the country and being poor. Just wasn't my style. I was a beach guy all my life. So I talked my wife and kid into coming back to L.A. I bought a little business, and I worked it for about 4 years, and she wanted to leave. She goes, I don't want to live in the city. And being that I had done the same thing to her, I had to acquiesce because she had that same right. And so she left and took my daughter to one of the most northern parts of California. And if you know anything about custody laws, that's allowed. And I had a 65 Volkswagen with a used motor, so there wasn't a chance I could make it up there. But then I got another blessing. I was a good driver. I could operate equipment, and I got a job with the studios, working at MGM, operating equipment and that. And then Saturday Night Live came on, okay? And all those whack jobs got famous. And they started doing movies. Well, they were so hard to handle, they needed special people to drive them. I knew all about drugs, alcohol, and partying, so I became a commodity. And if you want to live a life with unlimited drugs, alcohol, money, that was it. And it almost killed me. About that time, I was doing pretty good. I had a little red Porsche, and I thought, now what I need is a tall redhead. So, again, I'm a very blessed person. I found her. And I thought, this is great. She had a job. She was good looking. There was one problem. She was sober. She had just gotten sober. Now, I didn't know what 30 days or newcomers, I didn't know any of the rules. I just knew that she was good looking. And I liked her. And so I tried to do my best, and this may be my imagination, because we always try to remember what we do better than it was. And I tried to think that I was very respectful when I was getting loaded, and tried not to do it around her. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I really don't know. Because I can't promise anything before my sobriety date. I don't know what I did. The person I am today wouldn't do all of those things. But I did a lot of bad stuff. And it's hard to remember because in my heart today, I couldn't do that. But back then, I might have. And, hopefully I've made amends to her. I've tried. We're still friends to this day. But what happened was, on our first wedding anniversary, we go to San Francisco, and because I was making some money, so I was kind of all that. So I got a room overlooking the water in San Francisco. Our anniversary was Saturday night. We went up on Friday. We get to the room, and we're gonna have a little fun and shower and that. And while she was taking a shower, I thought, being respectful, I'd get my pipe and go out on the lanai and do a bowl. And I did. Problem being, the screen in the cherry went through the pipe, got stuck in my throat, and when she came out of the bathroom with a towel on her head all ready to hoochie coochie, I'm on the floor dying. And she starts beating my back until this all comes out. And again, this is a part that I'm not sure if it's made up, I thought it, or I said it. But she told me, I said, I guess God doesn't want you to smoke weed either. And that was, the next day was my first day of sobriety. It was our first wedding anniversary. And like I said, I've been very blessed. I was very arrogant. I wouldn't get a sponsor. I wouldn't do what was suggested. And I white-knuckled for quite a while. And I'm not stupid, because I wouldn't hire my friends to work because they were bozos like me. But my brother, who was sober, and all his sober friends, that's who I hired. And we put together a really good crew. But, at some point, you quit hitting your head in the wall. And you say, I don't have to be right. These guys have been doing it for you new people. You look around here, there's 1,000 years of sobriety. So if you think you have a better way, or you think, like Annie said, you do shortcuts, you don't win. And I gave in. And it was the best thing I ever did in my life. Better than my daughters, better than anything. Because the hole I had inside me that I could never fill with things started to get filled. Started to heal, I don't really like medical stuff because, my wife, Roxanne, was a nurse. And we had an agreement. If I do this, I don't want to hear no more about it, because I didn't like that. Again, because of Vietnam, there was a lot of memories that I didn't want to do, so we had an agreement. But, I started to learn, and I started to heal. And if you're here, all these people, even the ones you don't like, because I know we're supposed to love everybody, but I don't care. There's a bunch of whack jobs in AA, man, and I don't want any part of it. So, but I still say hello, and then I say, excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom. And nobody argues with that part. But there's so much knowledge and so much love in these rooms, Like I said, I always wanted to fit in. And, in the Marine Corps, even the bikers, they all had codes and everything, but it wasn't the same. The camaraderie or the fellowship, whichever you call it, here is amazing. It's the only place I've ever been where everybody wants you to succeed, not fail. Because it doesn't cost me anything for you to succeed. And you know what? In the business world, you're competing. I worked in the movie business. Most cutthroat people you ever met. But that's okay. That was business. That wasn't personal. And I have just been given so many gifts. Like I said, I've got 38 years of sobriety. But when I took my 25-year chip, that morning I woke up, because I didn't get a sponsor right away and all the stuff that was suggested, I decided that I was going to take a drink, do a line, and smoke a joint, and start over and do it right this time. Now, how messed up is that kind of thinking? 25 years. But you know, we don't get cured. I mean, I have a great life, and not to boast, but I'm one of the happiest people I know. I know a lot of people, and you know what? And some of you may know, over 12 years ago, I met an angel. And why she picked me, no idea. Maybe she didn't have her contacts, I wasn't sure. But she was just getting sober again, and I didn't know this because I only ran into her at meetings. I didn't know she wasn't sober. But she got sober, and we went on a journey so unbelievable. And even though I had 25 years more than her, I'm the one that kept learning. She taught me. She was Annie's sponsor, one of them. And an angel, always giving, always had time. I don't know how she made the time. But she lived this program. And because I was with her, you know, when I met her, I was kind of a rock star. I had a good job. I lived at the beach. You know, I had hot rods. I had all the bullshit stuff. But I was happy. One of my sponsees, Michael, goes, when you met her, you were happy. But then after you met her, you guys took it to a whole nother level. And he goes, now you got to come back to that level. And I promise you, the lessons you learn here will help you through life. And, you know, I got that blessing. I was lucky. I got her for over 11 years. I did stuff medically that I would have bet millions I wouldn't do. But I was taught that. And I listened to people. And there are nurses here that helped me. And other people that supported me. But I keep listening, and not just to the older people, because a lot of them, you know, aren't as happy as I want to be. You know what I mean? Some of them are just cranky, and I'm not that guy, you know? You know what? I'm not a serious person, and the only thing I've ever taken seriously is my marriage vows and my program. Everything else, I don't care. I'm good. You know, I'll do just about anything. But I learned here from people. My sponsor of over 25 years died at the end of March with 43 years. And I remember hearing a story a few years before about a guy who didn't get a new sponsor. And then he started not going to meetings. And blah, 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 blah. And the next thing you know, he's drunk. Well, again, I'm not stupid. So I go, I'm going to get me a new sponsor. All right, which one of you is the lucky one, I thought. But the reality was, my first sponsor, I picked him because he's an old dude from the valley, but he surfed county line. He had a hot rod. He was worked on the flight paths in Vietnam. So there were things that we could talk about. That is that the time? Oh man.
Keep going, Stephen.
Oh. Okay, got it. Thanks, Robert. So I could talk to him about things that I couldn't tell somebody who doesn't know. Now, for those of you who know, my wife in February 23 got cancer. We had just come from our daughter's wedding, and the reality was we looked better than we ever looked, man. She was doing Pilates, I was working out, and then she got cancer and took her to chemo for a year. I wouldn't let anybody take her for the first couple of months, but then my daughter, my son, they all wanted to, her friends. We did that for a year, and then she had another surgery. And then I took her home and took care of her for a couple of months. And then she had another one. And they told us there was no hope. But we got to sit and talk about what was what. What she wanted for her children, what she wanted for her service. And the people in this program, there's a bunch of ladies sitting over there and over there and over there, and some gentlemen that step right up to help. Annie took charge of the memorial. Some of our friends, we wanted to put her ashes out in front of our house at Avenue C in Redondo Beach. We got a boat. I put some of them with her parents at the, what do you call those little boxes they put you in up in the Green Hills or Green Valley? Okay, that's not my thing. And then I took a third of her ashes to Makapu'u Point in Hawaii. Between the sacred stones and the healing pools was where we were married. And so her ashes are in those healing pools. And we got to talk about that. I mean, that, as depressing and as sad as that was, it was a blessing. And, and I don't actually think I've ever said this out loud, but for the first time in my life, I wanted to end it. I didn't care no more. I was done. Without her, nothing. Forget it. And we had talked, and she says, you've got to get closer to the program than you've ever been. And I was pretty mad at God. And a gentleman sitting right in front of me told me, Gil, lightning goes down, not up. And I got a little perspective that I can't be mad at God. And somebody else told me, you married an angel and then you don't want God to take her. How messed up is that? And I got these, again, like the sayings in AA, they sound stupid till you live them. And I've gotten to live them. I promised her I would stay sober, but I also promised that I would be happy enough for both of us. And that's a tall order. So again, when I didn't have a sponsor, my first thought was, I know 2 people offhand that I've spoken to who'd gone through what I went through. And again, so many people showed love and concern and caring. But no offense, if you haven't been through it, you don't know. And so I focus on that. So I got a sponsor that had been through it. Because that's what they tell me in the program. You know, every problem, every situation in the world can be solved in one of these rooms. Everyone. Somebody here has gone through everything. And if not here, one of the other rooms. You know, I had a guy ask me to sponsor him one time, and I said no. And he goes, "You're not supposed to say no." I said, "Yeah, but you don't understand. You suffer depression. I don't even know how to spell it. So I'm not the guy for you. You need to find somebody that knows what you're going through." And I don't. I'm a happy guy. I don't get depressed. Even my wife dying, which has had to be the most devastating thing in the world. But I wake up every morning and I try to be happy. I believe that it's your responsibility to take your point of view and make it so you're happy. You know, I've been through a lot. 1 year, 3 aunts, my uncle who was my mentor and my father died, and I got a divorce. All in 1 year. But that was up to me to stay happy. Some mornings I wake up, I burn incense, I play music, I chant Nam Yoho Renge Kyo for an hour. Whatever it takes to wake up and be happy. Because if I don't do that, I'm letting her down. Because we lived a happy life. And not about the things, but we just had the time of our life. Everything was funny. Everything was an excursion. You know, I have a old car, and we go to a car show. She didn't just go to the car show. She showed up with a Betty Page dress, high heels, the right hairdo, and a parasol. We're going. Because she lived life. And you know, so did I. And it's not about the money or, you know, I used to live in a house in Manhattan Beach. Now I live in an apartment. Who cares? Who cares who owns it? I like where I live. Because things cannot be owned. I follow a Buddhist path. I don't go to the temple, and I don't know a lot of things. But I do know the path and the way to follow that. And I try to work at it. Because it's up to me. And I decide that. I decide what to do. I decide how I'm going to be happy. Because you know what? I got loaded because I wanted to be happy. I got sober because I wanted to be happier. And I got to tell you, my sobriety through everything is happy. You know what? I mean, I got here and I didn't know where to go. And you know, I'm not real computer literate. So he sent me the coordinates, which don't mean jack to me. So I get here and the thing takes me to that driveway over there. Well, the gate's locked. Okay. So I cruise around, and I'm early because I go through this a lot. So I pull in, and I'm sitting there, and lady goes, I said, "Excuse me, is there a meeting here?" And she goes, "Yeah." And so I'm sitting there, and she gets out of her car. She goes, "Well, you can come in and help set up the chairs." Okay, I can do that. It's not brain surgery, you know. And then Don was telling me, "Oh no, you got one end's here, one end's here." I'm going, "Yeah, man, however you want it, just tell me. Let me unfold the chairs and put them up, and then you line them up." Because you know what? It don't matter. You know what? We're all bozos in this bus. You know, and if you think you're special, you're going to go out. Because you're not. You're not special. You're just a person, man. And, you know, because of this program, next year I'll have lived half my life sober. Not half of my drinking life, half of my whole life. And man, this is the best drug I ever took. I mean, because you can get it everywhere. It doesn't cost, well, people say $1, but come on, this is Manhattan Beach. Pony up for a $5 or something. Come on. Come on. I had a house here that I didn't lose, but we sold it when we got divorced. So I know what this goes for. So, but it really, it's like the cheapest game in town, and it's everywhere, and you can have the time of your life. When I was living in Venice, and I hung out at a bar called Hainano's, and we used to sit there and drink beer and hope we could get to Topanga to go surfing. We ended up at the Tea Jetty in Venice, because when I got sober, I've surfed Fiji, all over the world, Costa Rica, the Caribbean, Hawaii about a couple hundred times, because just the part about sobriety, and especially you young guys in that, you don't know, but those drugs, the alcohol and cigarettes will kill you. And I had a friend, my best friend just died Thursday. He never quit. He was doing coke in 70. And when I was helping his wife, him and I made a lot of money. We did the same thing. He probably had 50 grand in the bank. And that's disheartening. I spoke at a businessman's meeting once. So, okay, I'm not a businessman. But I figured it out. $300 a week for cocaine, weed, cigarettes, and booze. That ain't a lot. But if you count it up, in 10 years, it's $144,000. At the time, I was 25 years sober, and I figured I had saved $350,000. I bought a place in Hawaii because I had some money. Because that was been my dream my whole life. I had hardly ever surfed in Hawaii, but I bought a place. And the dreams come true. And the money doesn't matter, and the health, you know what? You live as long as you want. I mean, I just turned 77 years old. And you know what? I'm living large, man. I'm in good shape. I walk. You know what? There's nothing I can't do that I could do before. Not as good, probably not as long, but the point being is, it's your quality of life that you choose to have because of sobriety. Now, I don't know about the moral part and all that stuff because that's not me. But you know what? I lived a lot longer than I thought. And I've been sober a lot longer. And I'm still having the time of my life. So, again, I don't know, man. Do whatever you want. I mean, do whatever you want. You're going to anyway. I heard a grapevine joke in Hawaii. It said, let's see, what was it? I am older, so I forget. It says, you know the difference between a cult and AA? People in the cult listen. And you know what? It's true. And you know what? What I learned from my wife, Roxanne, was show them, don't tell them. And you know what? If I come here and spoke because this isn't my deal, and I am really uncomfortable, but if I can make one person smile more than they did, think about it a little different, with a little different perspective, and just one, that's all I care about. Because you know what? I was given a gift. I don't know why I got sober. I was an idiot. I wouldn't do anything they told me. And God kept me sober till I found out what this was really about. And so, man, all I can do is implore you that we all want to be happy. We all want to find somebody. And trust me, yesterday I found a card on Roxanne's desk, and it was for a massage thing, and she had a little sticker that says how much it was worth. And I looked at that because she liked that thing, and so I took it to our daughter, Caitlin, who has 5 years, our daughter, okay? And she goes, "Don't you want to keep this?" I said, in all reality, as much as I miss the affection, I don't know about a strange woman touching me. But I can tell you, and if you've ever been to a meeting with me, I get a lot of hugs from a lot of beautiful women. And they're not strange people. You know what I mean? Those are family. It's such a gift. What I went through, a person out there, how do they do it? They don't have a chance. I had ladies call me up, "I'll pick you up in 15 minutes. We're going to dinner." Because I can't cook, and I can go out to eat wherever I want, but I don't want to do it alone. So I've had so many people looking out for me. And I don't know about people or churches. I never went to church, so maybe they do that too. But all these people come and show me love. I told these one girls, I said, when I was dealing coke, man, I didn't have this many beautiful women around. I would have known, I would have gone in AA sooner. But I didn't know. But the point being is, all of these women, not only are they beautiful on the outside, just like my Roxanne, she was drop dead gorgeous. But it didn't compare to the heart and the love and the kindness she had. And I get the same thing. I can look at about 15 women here that I know. Some of you I don't know. And just so you know, I never hug anybody that doesn't hug me first, because I never want to be that creep in AA. Just so you know. So if I haven't hugged you, that's because you haven't hugged me. Because I will never do it first. Because that's how I was taught. My first sponsor told me, if I ever see you asking for a phone number at a meeting, I'll fire you. This is a safe place. Never. Now, I got 38 years, and when I met Roxanne, she goes, "Are you going to ask me out for coffee?" I go, "No." And she goes, "Why?" I said, "Because I don't do that." And she goes, "Okay." And she goes, "Will you go out to coffee with me?" And I go, "No." And she goes, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm hungry. Can we go out to breakfast?" It's just the things I was taught. And most of them are based on kindness and giving. Mr. Taker here his whole life learned to give. And my life's better because of that. And, if you're here, my daughter sent me a song by Jelly Roll called "Winning Streak." If you haven't heard it, listen. Because none of us came in on a winning streak. And you know what? But we all came in, and we have a chance to get better. Welcome. I promise you, if you hold on, you will have the time of your life. I promise you. And that's all I got. Thank you.